calling this meeting to order. In attendance are Commissioners Brooks, Matari, and Duncan. Are there changes to the agenda? Okay, hearing none. Public comment? Hearing none. Our first item is solid waste assessments, a status update from our assessor, Bela Kovacs, but he does not appear to be here yet. So I would say we continue on down the agenda, and then when he arrives, we can address his item. So, all right, item 2, projects.
Good afternoon, or good morning, Commissioners. John Phillips for the record. So beginning with projects. This is your quarterly solid waste update. So I'll start with the Ramsey transfer station, the new public future drop-off area. As you know, Kootenai County Solid Waste and Jacobs Engineering has been working together to finalize the design and the layout of a future solid waste area for small loads at the Ramsey transfer station. The design is complete, and we have now rough staked the area.
Hi, who's joined us by phone?
New public.
Jill Smith.
Oh, hi, Jill.
You know,
If you can mute yourself, we will get to you when Mr. Kovacs arrives.
Okay. So to go back to, the design is now complete for that public drop-off area, and we have staked it. So we put out all the grade stakes, and we're ready to go. This planned future area will allow customers to come onto the transfer station property and dump small loads of household waste and then exit without ever going through the scale or the property. It's estimated it could cut back dramatically on small load traffic through the transfer station and save a lot of traffic from just being involved, within the main site. Kootenai County's staff will be constructing the majority of this dumping area over the course of the spring and likely the early summer. The old landfill area has been a little bit too wet to begin that construction, and it's almost dry enough to start the project. I do anticipate that we will start hauling and construction this month, so I anticipate we're going to start up here fairly quickly. Moving on to leachate treatment pilot update. Leachate is considered, as you know, an industrial wastewater and can be difficult to treat. As a reminder, the department was notified in December of 22 that Hayden Area Regional Sewer Board would no longer be able to accept our leachate if we didn't clean it up a little bit better for items like PFAS and PCBs. So Kootenai County Solid Waste solicited local POTWs in Hayden, Post Falls, and also Coeur d'Alene to try to see if they had any levels that they would accept in future treated wastewater. We did get some response. We've been working with Jacobs Engineering and have found that a company called Dynatech Systems out of New Jersey could supply the equipment needed to treat that leachate. Dynatech completed a bench scale treatability study, and it came out very favorably in that they believe they could treat that wastewater for us. So we've then inquired about the cost of a full-size pilot system as opposed to bringing in a really small system so that we could, if the system works, just buy it and it would be on site and use most of the pilot money towards the purchase. This looks like it's going to work out, and now Jacobs has recommended that we move forward with the sole source procurement of that item, and we did receive the approval to go ahead and advertise for the sole source procurement from the BOCC, so we are now advertising for that. We're optimistic that this process will treat up to 1 million gallons a month, which will be good for the department, and we believe that we will have the go-ahead in the next few weeks to get the system ordered once we get through that process of sole source. Any questions about the leachate treatment?
No, thank you.
Okay. Landfill Phase E3 construction. So as you know, a new area of the landfill known as Phase E3 expansion went out to bid in December of 2023. Selland Construction was awarded the bid for the project and has been given the notice to proceed. Kootenai County Solid Waste recently secured the site disturbance permit for this project by working with community development. Selland Construction's been working on permitting and expects to receive their construction general permit to begin moving forward with that project in the next week. Today, Selland is, they continue to mobilize in equipment for the project, so they're starting to bring in heavy equipment, and they're also going to start logging of some of the area, which they're allowed to do before they receive the final CGP. So far, we're off to a good start. This project is anticipated to last through November or December of 2024. Any questions about the E3 project? Okay. Moving on to Fighting Creek Landfill operations. So
Hang on one second. Will Bela be joining us?
He informed me about half an hour ago that he will not be.
Okay. Because item 1 was the solid waste assessment status update. Are you providing an update on his behalf?
I'm just, well, I will go ahead and email you the letter that, or the memo that he,
Okay.
that he wrote regarding his position on that. My only comment is that, after looking at the various statutes and our solid waste ordinance, it does confirm that the assessor doesn't have any statutory duties with respect to collection of solid waste fees. Now, I am not expressing any opinion as to his potential role in his historic or future role in the process.
Sure.
So I will, email that to you guys as soon as my computer comes back up. I was having
Okay.
connection issues, but
Sure.
so you can see what he actually wrote.
Okay. Any questions for Pat?
No, not at this point. I just assume you send it once you get your email up, and then it'll come to my computer and I guess Commissioner Brooks's computer, and maybe we might just read it into the record.
Okay.
I'll send it.
Depends on how long it is.
Send it to
Right.
Tina.
Well, we'll end by lunchtime for sure.
I think it's incredibly rude of him not to appear.
I think he was the one who wanted this meeting, didn't he?
Yes, he
Yes.
did.
Yeah.
Yes. He seems to do everything he can to disrupt the, proceedings and anybody trying to solve this problem. It's incredible.
Okay, my email's back up, so I will send that.
So, did you want to wait and read it, or do you want to go on with the
No, let's
updates?
continue with solid waste because this could end up being a multi-page document, in which case we have to kind of decide what to do after that.
Pages, I think.
Okay. Okay, so we're at item 3, Fighting Creek Landfill Operations and Landfill Gas System.
Okay. So garbage volumes, as you could imagine, are increasing this time of year, which is normal. The crew has finished the construction of a new road and unloading pad on the top of the original area of the landfill. And we're now using this as our primary area for unloading. Benefits of moving to this new area will slow the progression of the garbage placement because of a larger depth lift. Will also allow better stormwater control in the sense that we would be able to place plastic sheeting on the top of that area to keep rainwater out of the garbage. And then it'll also create an area for the E3 contractor to place cover soil near our working face. So that'll allow us to put dirt as we do this E3 project immediately adjacent to where we need the dirt for the landfill personnel to cover the garbage with dirt as they're required. So any questions about the operations there? Okay, moving on to landfill gas system. So overall, the gas system has been operating very well this past fall and winter. This spring, we did have some odor issues and have since installed 8 new landfill gas collection wells to enhance our landfill gas collection system. And these new wells are functioning very well at this time and have minimized the odors in the area. Any questions about the landfill gas system? Okay, so moving on to transfer station operations. Transfer station operations have, of course, also picked up greatly because of the weather changing, and this is typical for this time of year. Our crews have been doing a great job at both transfer stations, and the operations have been very smooth. I don't even know of a complaint that we've received this spring, so we are nearly fully staffed and have been getting new employees up to speed fairly quickly. I want to give a public thank you to our crew members for all they do each and every day. I feel truly lucky to have such a great team at all of our facilities. Moving on to rural site operations. So Sunshine Recycling has continued doing a great job with the haul of the refuse from the rural collection sites to the transfer stations. Overall, the sites have been looking very good, and the levels of abuse have continued to be fairly low when compared to previous years. Currently, we're working on filling potholes at the rural collection sites, which have gravel lots, and in the next month or so, we'll be placing dust control at these sites to minimize the dust that's created when residents are using the sites. I always include public or patrol and public education that the Sheriff's Department is offering our department. They continue to do an excellent job patrolling and educating the public at these facilities located throughout the county. This effort is both greatly appreciated and necessary to try and maintain some level of control at these unstaffed sites. Since the sheriff's department has started this patrol, the level of abuse has been greatly reduced, and this saves many man-hours of cleanup each week. With that, I'd like to move forward to solid waste statistics, and this section would be presented by our business and finance manager, Angela Bergeson.
Good morning, Commissioners. Angela Bergeson for the record. And the first item I was just going to touch on how we're doing this year from January 24 through March of 24. So I just have some numbers. I'll start with Ramsey. The Ramsey transfer station so far in the first 3 months has had 66,526 site visits. That is down 4.7%, or 3,280 less from the same time last year. But the tonnage is 28,457 tons, and that's up 0.83, so fairly flat for the tonnage. It's only 236 more tons from the same time last year. Prairie is down overall. Customers so far is 39,869, which is down 0.72, so only down 291 site visits from the same time last year. Tonnage is 18,603 tons processed at Prairie. That is down 2.43%, or 464 tons. The landfill, though, the amount of tons brought there is 44,564 tons, which is up 0.97%, or 426 tons over last year. Of the landfill tonnage, 1,223.48 tons was hauled directly to the landfill. So that is waste that was diverted from coming to the transfer stations. And for rural, now that's where we're seeing a jump right now. So for Athol and Chilco, since those are the only two sites where we track site visits, number of site visits at those two sites is 48,554 site visits in 3 months. Wow. That is up 9.68%, or 4,287 visits. Let's see here, tonnage. Tonnage is up, but not terribly. So tonnage was 3,094 tons, up 1.69%, or 51 tons over last year. What this tells me with the rural site is that they're really following what we ask of them, as far as they're only bringing small amounts at a time so that there's enough space for the waste in those bins, which is really good. So yes, they may have to come a little more often if they have an excessive amount of waste, more than the typical household, but they're not bringing in huge loads or inundating our sites, which is really good. Any questions for the beginning of the year?
The only thing that would be nice is maybe just to have something that we could look at too.
Okay. I could always
Included
bring a
with that.
copy too.
Yeah, it's just easier for me to look at the numbers
Right.
than to listen to the numbers.
Okay, we can do that.
And
Would a copy of this?
So, and you do have copies of our solid waste analysis for the
Yes,
board today that
that's
she's going to
next.
hand out, that we'll go over last year. So she's going to talk about that a little bit too.
Because your department is an indicator of the kind of growth that's going on in the community.
Yes.
And so being able to look at those numbers, I think, helps a little bit. But,
Sure.
You guys run a fantastic operation. And I have all the confidence in the world that not only do you run it extremely well, but you look into the future to try to anticipate what's coming down the road towards you, so that you can manage to that well. So it just would be nice to look at the numbers. The only other question I have is, are you getting sufficient number of job applicants that have the kind of quality you're looking for?
I would say so.
Yeah.
Managers are being able to interview and hire pretty quickly.
Pretty good.
When we do have a position. Currently, we had, until recently, one site open, or one sorry, not one site, one position open
Full-time.
and they're starting on Monday. So we're going to
good.
be full again. So
'Cause
it's been really good.
I think last year you actually were dealing with some challenges of
Yeah, and
filling some
I
spots.
believe in July of last year, we were down 11 full-time, and
Yeah.
now we've been fully staffed on and off for the past several months, but seasonals, we have those open, and I doubt we will fill all of them, but I'm optimistic that we'll fill more than we used to. So
Yeah.
we're doing really well as far as personnel.
And I take it that makes a big difference on the load that the staff has to bear when it comes to the amount of growth that you're seeing, even if it's not huge amounts of tonnage. Just the volume of customers can make a difference with a fully staffed.
Well, and it helps the level that we provide. You know, if sometimes you have to cut back in certain areas where you don't have to
Yeah.
maintain it as much. One area that people may have seen when they visited the sites are like refrigerators at times they were backed up. There were a lot, and that's because we had to focus on other areas. And then when we could, got back to that. So sometimes there are things that do tend to, you don't see it as, as kept up on as we would if we're fully staffed. But we pivot very well.
Yeah. Well, from my perspective, keep up the good work.
Thank you.
And then one last one, the 2023 solid waste analysis report. Sure, thank you. And I have a copy for each of you.
Thank you.
And it's our annual report that we put out.
you.
I was just going to touch on a couple fun numbers with this. So there's a write-up in there. There's all sorts of charts as far as waste. And then I also gave you an extra, a lot of statistics that are on this colored sheet that's additional. But it tells for 2023, the total number of customers. Now this is total for Ramsey, Prairie, and the rural sites all together. So for 2023, we had 793,582 site visits, and that's up 3.7% of the previous year. Not quite up to COVID levels of customers, but that's a lot. Total amount of tons processed. So total amount that came into the transfer stations, rural site, and direct to the landfill was 249,000 tons, which was up 2.4% from the previous year. And the amount of actual landfill tons, though, so that was 249 processed, of that was 218, a little over 218,000 actually to the landfill. So the rest was diverted in some way.
The number on the bottom of my sheet says 218.
Yep, that's the amount to the landfill.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, the amount processed, I had to write it down because it's in a different spot on the report.
Gotcha. Okay.
But, yeah, so we're doing really good. It tells all sorts of things, like as far as Saturdays at the transfer stations, that's the day to avoid. We are very busy on Saturdays as far as customer site visits. Not a lot of tonnage, but that's the day that the homeowners are really coming out, not so much of commercial. If you want to load the day best to come out, a Thursday. Thursdays are good. They're the lowest number of days as far as site visits. But there are all sorts of numbers in there for you to look over. And if you end up with questions, email me. I don't mind at all. Talking trash is my thing. I will talk numbers all the time. So that is for you. So thank you.
All right, great. Is that it?
With that would conclude our update.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Appreciate the organization.
Thank you.
All right, back to item 1.
I skimmed it pretty quickly, and it's definitely very one-sided. I think that it probably would make sense to kind of look through it, think about it, and maybe set up a separate meeting, because this does change the nature of how the operation has been working for many, many years. And, what's interesting is that when you typically add responsibility to a person's job, you look at compensating them. In this particular situation, they're actually reducing responsibility from a person's job. So even that might be worth having a discussion too. But at this point, probably should look at it and think about it.
Okay. I will call for public comment then. Anybody? Nope. Okay, anybody on the line? All right. 10:50, meeting adjourned. Thank you all.